This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of dark Gothic Maga, the greatest new conspiracy theory that I am so glad to be part of witnessing, because it has been so long since a conspiracy theory has actually made me feel feelings. I almost forgot what that feeling was like, but the other day, yesterday, or recently, just a video has been circulating amongst Reddit by Blonde Politics, the Silly Serious, who posted a video, I guess 2-3 months ago, talking about dark Gothic Maga, basically the tech bro billionaire takeover with figures like Curtis Yarvin and whatnot. And oh my god, was it one of the most engaging 30-minute videos ever. And what I love about it is not just that dark Gothic Maga is an amazing conspiracy theory that has all the classic conspiracy theory trademarks, but we'll get into that. But what I find really interesting is this is the first conspiracy that's really targeting the left wing in politics. And you can't understate how important this is, because it's videos and its titles like Dark Gothic Maga that is going to get people's attention way more than any sort of PowerPoints or anything like that Kamala Harris and the Democrats were pulling out during the last presidential election. No, if you start leaning into things like Dark Gothic Maga, people will start flocking to you. This is the sort of lore, this is the kind of conspiracy theory lore that people crave and just eat up. There's talking points, there's one-liners you can take. It's sad that this is the route that we really need to go nowadays to appeal to people. But again, you can't understate, because think about what's really motivated at least the MAGA base in the last 10, 12 years. It has been a lot of fear-mongering, a lot of conspiracy theories, all the way from the Obama birther movement to the Red Scare China documentaries that apparently Trump would watch to motivate him about the dangers of China. And again, the great thing about all these conspiracy theories are there's some truth in them. Maybe not the birther movement, don't know too much about that. That's probably more of a ridiculous one with Barack Obama. And there's always been conspiracy theories around politicians' origins. There's Justin Trudeau with Fidel Castro and so many other things. But regardless, these conspiracy theories have a lot of truth in them that make them so believable, and then put on some good music in the background, get the right clips, and boom, you have an amazing conspiracy theory just like Dark Gothic Maga. And again, it has all the hallmarks of a perfect conspiracy theory, and it mirrors so many of the fears that those conservative conspiracy theorists harbor. So it's so interesting that now it's the left's turn to kind of embrace this. I'm telling you, if they push messages like Dark Gothic Maga, then so many people are going to flock to these sort of messages. Because again, even if the details are fake, the meaning is real. And a lot of the threats can be real too. But again, with Dark Gothic Maga, you have tech bro billionaires trying to just take over the world. Classic setup for any good conspiracy theories. And, you have the New World Order. That's always been a classic one, as the New World Order and the Illuminati, things like that. And then you have the Elon Musk figure for the left to just fear and just have so much fear in this figure, just like the right may have that same feeling towards a figure like George Soros or whatever. So we have this shadowy billionaire, well, Elon Musk isn't that shadowy, but still this billionaire figure who is just putting their nose where they really don't belong, and it stokes these sort of fears. And then part of, I guess they call it Operation Butterfly. I don't know exactly what it's called. Let me take a look here again. It's called the Butterfly Revolution. So part of Blonde Politics, the Silly Serious' video talks about the Butterfly Revolution, which basically is tech feudalism, where we have CEOs at the top, and then everybody else is kind of just the peasants. And this does echo again to so many conspiracy theories like the New World Order, the 15-minute cities that the conservatives were just so against, that you're going to be stuck in these zones where you can't leave, where you're limited on what things you can access and who's in charge, you have no power. That's the exact same sort of situation, just sold differently to make you afraid. 15-minute cities were sold as a way to make sure everybody has what they need in one place, and these tech feudalisms are sold as a way to efficiently run areas of government to ensure that everybody has what they need. Where again, those 15-minute cities where everything was so efficient that you only need everything in this little circle or whatever. And while a lot of YouTubers might be sounding alarm bells or freaking out, reacting to Dark Gothic Maga, the Butterfly Revolution, whatever, I am a bit more of an experienced conspiracy theorist, so if you are getting freaked out, just know, even I was a little freaked out there too on initial viewing. It really rattled my bones, honestly, because it's so plausible. Again, it hits all those fear receptors. And, you know, maybe that's just a sign of aging, because when you're a kid, you really don't have any stakes in a lot of things. So when people talk about burning down the system or the conspiracy theories, this or that, you don't really care too much because you don't have much. But when you're an adult, these kind of conspiracy theories can hit a little bit harder because you have things you care about. You have a life you built. You might have loved ones that you want to protect. And that's just so cool to see this. But anyway, so if you've gotten really scared because you saw this video, please don't panic too much yet. Because the thing that's giving me a lot of confidence is just knowing Donald Trump is the ultimate grifter. And there's just so many people Donald Trump has promised power to. It's just not possible he can serve everyone, whether it's his MAGA base, whether it's the more evangelicals, whether it's the tech bros. The only thing that's the common denominator against all these is that Donald Trump always ends up on top. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not super concerned about Dark Gothic Maga and the Butterfly Revolution, because it seems like Trump is just looking to enrich himself, just like he's always has. And it's working, you know, it is working, you can't deny that, but I don't think his ultimate goal is to bring down America as some have viewed it. Now, of course, you can look at these actions by Elon Musk and be terrified, and those are scary, those are unprecedented, I'm sure, but Donald Trump's whole MO is just to make people super afraid, just barrage people with news, even when most of the time nothing really impactful happens. We've already seen that a couple times with the tariffs. We're only 2 weeks in, though, so there's a long way to go. But again, I don't think he has that desire to start some sort of butterfly revolution. But he will lean into probably the fear of that, because again, it's good. But yeah, he's going to lean into that and promise people anything that's just going to enrich him. So of course he's going to tell the billionaires what he wants to hear. He's going to tell the tech bros what they want to hear, because he needed to get elected. And that's one of these things these conspiracy theory videos always do, is they take a lot of these figures or a lot of these big events and then start connecting them just based on comments, based on interviews, based on proximity, and then maybe just start combining points. Like, sure, J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and Yarvin have some connections, but just those connections alone doesn't mean that the blueprints of these social constructs are going to be baked into what Donald Trump signs. I know people are really afraid of things like Project 2025, but it is important to remember that these conspiracy theorists will sometimes combine things that aren't necessarily combinable, will gloss over important details, will oversimplify a point, or just throw at you this scary stuff. Again, if you watch Blonde Politics, the Dark Gothic Maga video, you're going to be pretty convinced. And that's because she picks amazing music, she picks the perfect clips. But that's what she wants you to do. She wants you to watch the whole video. And I'm telling you, if you start this video, you will. Oh, it was so satisfying. Oh, that's not to discount the real dangers that people can do in these political offices. But I just have faith. Maybe, again, it's just me having dumb faith and I'm being an idiot. But it's just me having faith that you can't completely destroy this country in a measly 4 years, 2 years, whatever. Now, if J.D. Vance gets into office in 4 years or whatever, that might be different. Donald Trump, you can definitely tell he's just here to enrich himself. He just wants to have his rallies, he just wants the pageantry, and that's all. Now, J.D. Vance, on the other hand, he might actually be able to bring about some pretty radical changes. But I don't think Donald Trump is actually motivated to. He's gotta pay the piper. He's gotta give the ones that helped him get elected, he's gotta give them their favors. But beyond that, I can't see completely cutting up the United States city by city into an individual network of lands like the Butterfly Revolution wants to do. I don't think we're ready. Maybe 50 years from now, things might change, because a big key point in all these conspiracy theory, New World Order sort of recipes is you need to have the people craving the change. Right now, you can just tell online that there's just way too much resistance, which is why you shouldn't be afraid of any radical changes to the status quo. And that's, again, what you need to see. That's the barometer for if real change is happening, is how much is happening to the status quo. Middle managers, they're probably going to get killed in terms of middle managers that are going to suffer job loss, this or that, whatever. Other public servants, yeah, they're going to be casualties of Donald Trump's crusade. But again, the major players in America, I don't think they're going to be touched, which is what is required for these big New World Order things. So again, if there was some sort of actual butterfly revolution coming, they would have to make it so that people want this. And, I mean, so that's why I'm saying maybe down the road that's going to happen once you abolish. Because the whole point of, like, the butterfly revolution is that almost people can't govern themselves because the people are so uneducated, unwilling, whatever. Curtis Yarvin sort of talks about this in a good New York Times interview, or maybe it was even in that dark Gothic Maga video. But either way, people can't really govern themselves, that it takes the best and the brightest to be leading everybody. And that when everybody has a voice like democracy, it just leads to silly things like Brexit or Trump being president, because you can't really trust the people. So if you destroy the Department of Education, you just keep lowering standards, the population keeps getting dumber, whatever, maybe eventually people are going to be like, we can't let everyone have a voice. We need to have the smartest people in charge. And then you usher in the tech feudalism CEO structure of tomorrow. And I just don't see that happening yet. Again, 50 to 100 years, anything could happen. And I would say the only thing, if we're going to go down that road, whatever, but the only thing that is upsetting about that is if somebody wants to challenge the CEO of a land, you know, how are you going to do that in the future, you know? Or is everybody going to have, like, a certain amount of, like, shares? Because even in publicly traded companies, CEOs are accountable to the shareholders, are accountable to the board. So there are a bunch of still questions that need to be ironed out. And, you know, whatever. If we're going to have feudalism, that's fine. But at least allow it so some low commoner can rise up, build an army just like the good old days, and, like, overthrow, you know, whatever kingdom. You know, I want there to be some sort of Liu Bei figure who can take over, you know, Cao or whatever, who can fight the empire. But in the future, it's going to be the police state will be too heavily armed, there'll be too many AI surveillances, so it won't allow for that sort of organic takeover that things like monarchies require. You need to have every 100 to 300 years some sort of low-level figure rise up and take over. So, I mean, maybe as long as you can bake in some sort of way that can happen, maybe that future will be fine. But for now, for all of you afraid of the whole dark Gothic Maga thing, just try to relax, take it day by day. There's been so many conspiracy theories before this that have promised these exact same sort of situations, and they've all come and went, and while there are truth to some of them, again, these conspiracy theorists want your clicks, your eyeballs, your view time, so they're going to present the scariest of the scary. This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of entertainment.